Hi, and welcome to another G2 CoSec video. Today we're talking CVs. So what I'm going to be doing today is talking to you about writing an effective CV, do's and don'ts, what to include, how to lay it out, and things like that. So first things first, let me clarify, there is not one particular layout that needs to be for every single CV. There are many different layouts that you can use, but I will just be talking about how it should be presented in a certain type of way in order to make it effective and get your information across. So what I will be doing is listing the subheadings that you need for your CVs, and then I will talk about what should be included into each subheading, and then I'll finish off by just giving you a couple of do's and don'ts for your CV. So first, the subheadings. You should have a personal information section, a personal profile section. You should have qualifications, professional qualifications. You should have educational qualifications. You should then have employment history, skills, interests, and at the end a reference part. So with the personal information part, it's pretty simple. It's just how to get in touch with you. So it will be your name, a contact number, an email address, a LinkedIn, what the easiest way to contact you. It preferably maybe more than one, just in case one doesn't work, you can be reached on the other one. And then after the second one, it's personal profile. Now this is short and sweet. Shouldn't be a big chunky paragraph, just like a few sentences. We don't want any cliches. So don't tell us I'm a team worker or this and that. That is something that will be mentioned later on in the CV when you're telling us about achievements and things like that. Because that way, rather than just stating I'm a team worker or I'm this, by showing us times you have implemented those skills within your work, you're proving it to us without having to list it. We can see it within your achievements and within your work without just having to read it. And yeah, so no cliches, short and sweet. We want it to be factual. Tell us something you've achieved, something that's worth putting on the very top of your CV. One of the first things we'll see. It's a space to tell your prospective employers why they should hire you, what you want to do, things like that. So it's a very nice introduction to your CV and just giving us an idea of who you are and what you're like. So after that, we should talk about professional qualifications. So that is things, for example, ICSA, things like that. So with that, we want you to mention your qualification and the status of your qualification, whether it's you're qualified, part qualified, in the process of completing your qualification. Even if you're just showing an interest in taking a certain qualification, you have not done so, tell us, let us know, because it does stand out to employers just to show that you have passion and interest in a certain area. So it's very necessary to just mention those. Remember to mention the start date, the end date, or if you haven't ended yet, when you're expected to end. And yeah, any also work-related training would be good to mention as well, just to show us just skills that you might have gained or extra knowledge you might have gained. So after that, we want you to mention your education and qualifications. So this is academic and professional qualifications. List your grades achieved, list your modules taken, list where you undertook these qualifications, the establishment. A good tip would be, if your grades are not the finest, then I would maybe recommend putting the education section at the bottom of your CV after they've seen your employment, because then they can be impressed by employment, and if your education is not that great, then it softens the blow. And so after education and qualifications, we then talk about employment history. So when it comes to employment history, always do it from latest. So your current employment or your last job, your latest job, always put that at the top. Do not put your latest at the bottom and then we have to scroll all the way to the bottom to see what you're currently doing. That's a very big no. So yeah, start with your latest employment and then work your way down. List the company name, list your job title, list your start and end date. It's very important to mention your start and end date and your title, because I would read a CV where there is chunky paragraphs and I have to squeeze my eyes, search through the writing just to find out what the job title was, or you have to kind of guess by the task they've done. So no, always highlight what your job title was or is. Outline your roles, your responsibilities, any noticeable achievements, anything that will make you stand out, that will impress an employer, anything that will demonstrate skill, especially when it comes to a certain job you're applying for. Demonstrate skill for that particular job that will impress an employer. Also make clear of any short-term interim roles, just highlight that. And yeah, present it in a very logical and digestible way. Do not have paragraphs and paragraphs of what you have done. Split it up, use bullet points if you have to, use subheadings if you have to, but no big paragraphs, because when we're reading through hundreds of CVs every day, we don't have time to read all these paragraphs. We just want it to be quick, there, simple, easy to digest. So big no is no paragraphs. So after that, it's just your skills. So that can be personal achievements worth mentioning, any other languages you know, your unique selling points, software knowledge you have, for example, Blueprint. And then after that, just show us your interests, any interests or hobby that demonstrate what you get up to outside of work. What is your outside of work life like? And then you always finish it off with reference available upon request. Some people like to add their references, but if not, if you don't want to, then just wait until you're then contacted by an employer who then asks for references. But at the bottom, just mention that references will be available upon request. So, final bits, a few do's and don'ts. So, do highlight your unique selling points. So many people will get a job based on something that they offer that not everyone else offers. That can be a second language, a certain skill, a certain achievement that makes you stand out. If you speak 3 languages, that's amazing. That can be used in multiple ways. So mention that, highlight it, let it stand out. Make sure you have a clear layout. Like I said, we don't have a lot of time to read CVs. We can't dedicate 10 minutes to every CV, so we will skim it. And the majority of the time, we can tell a good CV within 5 seconds. So that's why it's important to highlight all the important information and don't put any unnecessary information. Section your writing, once again, no chunky paragraphs. If you have a niche, talk about it, mention it, tell us what it is, what you do, etc., etc. So make sure you also use plenty of keywords regarding your area, regarding your profession. So for example, company secretaries, ICSA, use words like ICSA, statute compliance, governance, anything that shows that you have an interest and you have experience, you have knowledge on the profession. Fill your CV with keywords, because we tend to look at that. We look at keywords a lot when we read CVs. A few don'ts. Now, unfortunately, unconscious bias is a thing. As much as we don't like it, no one likes it. As much as we don't like unconscious bias, I'm afraid it is still very present. So when it comes to your CV, you don't want to minimize any chances of getting a job. So don't mention things, for example, date of birth. Don't put a picture of yourself. Don't put any religion or any race or anything like that. Don't put anything that can be used against you as discrimination. Don't make your CV too long. I've seen 15-page CVs where I don't have time to read 15 pages, I'm afraid. So make sure it's short and sweet, only the main information. Don't put any unnecessary information. So yeah, short and sweet, no more than 4 pages. And yeah, just talk about the main bits, highlight the main bits so it catches our eyes when we see the CV. And yeah, final don't is don't leave out any important information. For example, don't leave out job title, don't leave out the years you have qualified or certain qualifications that you have. Mention all the important stuff. You are trying to attract an employer, you're trying to sell yourself, so mention anything that will in fact sell you to the employer. So yeah, that is the masterclass on CVs today. So that's a few do's and don'ts. I will probably make a document and also attach it at some point onto my LinkedIn, which just summarizes everything I'm saying, just to simplify this. Feel free to contact G2 COSEC team for any more information, any queries. Follow our LinkedIn pages, look on our website for any more information. Contact us and we're happy to help anytime.